là tàu giờ đâu xong ít sinh cho vào xa chỗ chỉ lính đâu bạn thấy cầu gì tàu ống mà sẽ bị chết kia từ lò chú chỉ nhận sai số chỉ tới chỉ bảo đi chỉ mua khử đấy để như vậy bà ấy nó tha hẳn chúa gì chỉ mua ấy lò rồi giờ này họ tàu luôn này chỉ qua lên này chỉ khai mì thế rồi chạy tôi mới nụ thế trả tôi cú xe bọn đây giờ này chỉ qua lên rồi nè thì cũng mà lý sao cho hoa em tôi là giờ này thì tôi muốn cho cái trái là giờ em chỉ chia ra chỉ chia mà má anh ấy tới chỉ tìm họ cho nó mà tàu liếp plong họ nữa chứ mà đủ ta họ lấy tàu đi nè thì tới chỉ giờ cũng cho mong thế như sao thì để tôi nhiều anh ấy tàu cái như special something chị thằng này chị có thể là muốn để cho nó xuống thế chị có thể là protect nữa để có chán tôi sắp cũ là gì.
And soon a Fresno athlete will travel thousands of miles to compete against top kickboxers from around the world. But his participation in the event is about much more than sports. It's about history, politics, and proving how one person can potentially bridge nations.
Tàu nó mà dần ga đồ họ rế đi từ này nhở thung mà từ xin đầu để mua hồ hạt tiền tàu bù.
Kung Fu school is not known for kickboxing or, unlike Muay Thai and stuff like that. I think at that time I've been fighting for a little while already, but Yia came in, he wanted to fight. And I remember asking him, hey, Yia, why do you want to fight? What happened? I remember one thing he said specifically, he goes, I want to fight to make the Hmong people proud. I know Hmong people can fight. I'm like, what difference does it make? Hmong, Lao, Vietnamese, Cambodia. And he really was stuck on that. He really wants to fight for the Hmong community.
I think at a young age, we were really disconnected from the history. Like, we arrived here, we didn't really know who we were. It seemed like everybody was just struggling, the whole community,
We came to America in '75. During that time, people get mad, you don't know that they're being racist towards you, but my dad never backed down. My dad would sit there and talk back to them like, hey, I helped you during the war. And I remember when we get bullied every week, we'll go to my dad during dinner. So the first thing my dad always says is, did we fight back? My brother would be the first one to roll up his sleeve and say, let's do this. And my brother would be the first one to fight. My brother was so little, he was so ready to take on these people, or dogs chase us. My brother wasn't scared. At a young age, he showed no fear.
We were tough in the 90s. Nobody wanted to work with the Asian kids because they didn't know how to deal with the Asian kids. Other guys would pick on them, what happened. They didn't talk about it, they retaliated. I was one of the original counselors that started Hope Now for You that worked with the gang kids in the '93.
During that time, what should you tell you now? You choose to lie. Your mong lu tang good brother, but we good brother that kay tu nyen su. What your jump good brother. So my brother, well, who's your leader? What tao teacher to leader na? I'll fight you one-on-one. My brother whooped the crap out of that guy. We've always fought different bullies, but we never fought our Hmong people. Come to find out, it was our neighbors across the street is different. So they all came to my parents' house, our house, and put chupato tupena. Like Gran Torino. That was during that time. Our life was just like that. They pulled out his gun like this to my brother, and my brother goes, what? Mine's licensed. What do you want? I'm not afraid to use it. And my dad comes out with his, and my mom comes out with hers. They just looked, they never bothered my mom and my dad. My dad went across the street and told them, fix this, or unlike anybody else, we'll shoot you guys. What's that? You time to do it? But my mom and my dad, they were not afraid. This is my house, my family. They didn't just shoot me up. So if you're talking about what defined him to start fighting, The Hmong people actually, I think, pushed him to say, I'm gonna go fight one-on-one. That's what makes you a man. Put myself out there during that time in the early 90s. There was so many Hmong men was labeled as not gonna do good with their life.
He had to face like all of that adversity, negative stigmas that Hmong people have within ourselves. That ideology is stuck so hard in the Hmong culture. I feel like we can't break free from that. You know, to me, what made Yia The Bull Mua such a trailblazer is because he not only overcame that, but he became something else entirely.
Reaching with that right hand, he takes a shot right in the thigh, and another shot in the head.
You know, he wanted to make sure that we get a face out there. Hey, we have a history. We come from this country. We came with nothing. We're here to make something out of it. He really wants to empower our community, our young folks.
He kind of saw big things for himself. And, you know, he saw kickboxing as the way to achieve those big things for himself. But those big things were not just for himself. He seemed to have the mindset that he wanted to kind of blaze a path that others could follow.
Crazy juice, they control of many, like I am told.
If you get in a fight with this guy, which was you'll be walking like this. Does he really hit that hard? No, he's just gonna kick you one time. You'll be walking that way.
If I wasn't young, I wouldn't have healed as fast as I did because he knocked the wind out of me or something, or kicked me so hard in the leg I just fall to the ground. Get the fuck up, Rich. That was the thing he would say.
Round 3. Ding, ding.
There are a few times we don't even use gloves and stuff. We could tell he didn't hold his punch back, you know, because he wanted us to experience real life situations.
You move forward, you look forward, you know, he push go, or ying to the talk of fight, and your child got trained.
Money was never an issue, or was it never mentioned? Like, hey, you gotta pay me to do this. At that time, me and Zhang, we were breakdancing. You know, it was kind of popular back then. And so, yeah, like, yeah, I'll just teach you guys how to fight, and you can teach me a little bit of breakdancing. So we're like, all right, that's fine.
You know, we grew up on Jackie Chan movies. We grew up on Bruce Lee movies. As kids, we thought that was awesome because we wanted to do the same thing they were doing.
We trained with him before he became popular.
All right.
So nobody knew us or cared about us. We were students that turned into friends, you know, and turned into like brothers, you know.
When Yia and ST and Han came around and they started kickboxing and doing really good, I mean, that just opened up a whole new avenue for us teenagers in school. And we all wanted to be kickboxers, all of a sudden.
His trainer says Mua's philosophy in life and in the ring is the same.
The more you sweat, the less you bleed.
ST has been with Mua since his first day in the ring.
5 years from now, if he keeps going if he still has the drive that he has right now, I could see him as a world champion.
Everybody wants to fight. Everybody think they can win, you know? But it's when you put him in the ring, that's what separates the man. I go, what do you want to do? He go, I want to go fight in Thailand. I'm like, really? And then he went. That was crazy.
There were times when he did feel a little bit pigeonholed being Hmong. Like, oh, you're gonna fight Muay Thai in Thailand, but you're not Thai. He never let it break his spirit, for sure. In fact, I think it motivated him a little bit.
Mua has 2 California kickboxing titles, 2 national titles, and he just got back from Thailand where he beat out all the rest. And that's a big deal since some of the best kickboxers are from Thailand. The sport originated there.
From 5 till 11 at night, every night. And we love it. It wasn't work. So, you know, sometimes we just train, we just kept training and John Cho. And man, that was our youth. That was our time. We were refugee, the Hmong and the Lao and the Chinese. What more can you ask for?
我做嘢呢個領域已經係就 last generation tàu đó giờ truyền kế tiếp đó giờ chỉ có chúng đó là hành lý số đó nè thì mấy sao thì giờ chơi thì cái này người mong người đầu mua gì đó chỉ vậy thì cái người mua gì mua học kia ba đồng.
Yia Mua's goal is to be a world champion, something he's ready to fight for.
When I go in the ring, I feel like I have to put out my best because they put a lot of time and effort coming in here, holding the pass for me, pushing me and stuff, so I have to put out my best.
But Mua knows that in order to put out, he has to first put in.
I've seen a lot of fighters. Some guys, they get their hands wrapped and they start punching lockers and sort of get themselves sort of crazy. And that was not really the way Yia was. He was pretty calm. I would almost say meditative, and he did a little of that before the fight, which would have been one of the rituals. Even though fighting, you're in the ring by yourself, you're really not by yourself. You still have your team.
When you're in the ring, you zone out. And you get one tracked. And that happens to a lot of fighters. And if you're able to sit down in between rounds and listen to what your corner has to say and then apply it, you're already leaps and bounds ahead of the other fighter.
Bọn đấu rồi mấy giờ nó thì mà giờ thì no, don't give up, keep fighting nè. Giờ nhiều tụi nó có cái máu chỉ bỏ được nè, you know.
Thế giờ mà nếu có đượcคนละแม่thếนี่ตาก็นะจิกก็เช็ดรอดอ่ะก็จึงต้องนะ
You know, that's why certain people gravitate towards certain people. And Yia had that energy. When you have a good energy, people want to gravitate toward that. Anything you do, you got to lead a team. It's not about one person.
Fighting or anything else was not for him to be out there in the middle of the ring having the glory for himself. That's sort of one of the keys to success is bring people close to you that help lift you up and you help lift them up.
Yeah, that's the guy to sit tight on it. It's always got to wait to follow to follow. Yeah, the guy to touch out the it's very you can try him. The shima go call the year tao mulu basic mulu hard to go forward. How compete on your level that bitch the way to mong but compete.
I remember before he fought, there was a Hmong guy that fought at ringside, and he lost. He lost. They were hyping this Hmong guy that he did kung fu, he was really good, and everybody went and see him, and then he lost. He lost, and he didn't do it again. He never went back to redeem. Yia kept redeeming himself.
The proof, he does it over and over and over. This 25-year-old has become the Hmong kickboxing poster boy.
Chỉ ra thì nếu muốn đầu đôi sa phai nó cho nên xa một là chỉ một sau lúc vàng thôn nên phải thế gì, còn happy thế nữa trâu xe, nữa xã hội lịch sử nữa,เขากูนี่เน่นะมากูจนนี่เน่รู้ voice นะเนี่ยกูจะตัดเจนี่ share นี่เกิดสิเจี๋ยตัวมันรอน่ะเจี๋กูนี่คนแต่ซื้อนะเจี๋คนนั้นเนี่ยเขาซัพพอร์ตเนี่ยลินได้
It was a very big venue, you know, more than a Yipa Joko Pato to share. More Chuck Norris, more what you're very famous. You know,
I love Chuck.
Yeah.
Rambo.
G, Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
ST Universal Video, Sultana, he came in and took my brother under his wing like, hey, and people start taking my brother serious. He was fascinated about Yia. He knew that he had to put my brother out there. People need to know him.
When you are really good at something, you're very passionate about something. I think in essence, if you pioneer a new way for yourself, then you actually uplift the community by doing that. And so his presence on ESPN, it brought awareness to the Hmong people.
Scott Coker, what he used to do was he'd bring in a lot of fighters. When they would film a lot of fights, they would sell fights to ESPN2. And one of the fights they sold was that amateur fight between Juan Escobar and Yia. Juan Escobar is like predominantly hands. Yia's really strong leg kick.
Pow, pow, and then punch, pow, pow, pow. I'm like, God, this guy does not give up.
These guys are basically You know what I mean?
He was not afraid to take a punch in his face. You know, that was, I mean,
one guy hit the other guy's coming back.
He just keeps going.
So when I was looking to find people to fight Yia, I couldn't find any people willing to fight him. I went to Florida, I called New York, I called New Jersey, Texas, all over the country. When they realized they were fighting Yia the Bull Mua, they said, no, we don't want to fight him. Trainers didn't want their fighters to get hurt. And so we had 2 months of just not finding anyone. It was very hard, it was a challenge. We were very lucky that we found a fighter in Seattle. And the only reason why that fighter agreed to fight was that his coach was former UFC champion Maurice Smith. And when I called Maurice up, he said, yeah, we'll fight your guy. You know, it's no big deal. My school against your school. And so in between rounds, he wouldn't let his fighter sit on the stool. He's one of those guys that make his fighters just kind of stay up on the ropes. That shows the confidence of Maurice Smith and his school. But in the end, Yia made him stop because he broke the kid's bones. And so the power in his arms and his kicking, he was just too much. We had a couple of Hmong fighters, but they came to see Yia, and you could tell they were all appreciative. We had probably 20 different businesses that came and supported us. They bought tables, and they all wanted to meet him. And he was a rock star. He was a superstar.
When he first started fighting and he got really popular, people I knew didn't believe that I knew him. And they're like, yeah, you don't know Yia the Bull, you know? You don't know who he is. I'm like, yeah, I used to you never trained with him, you know?
Like, I think it's easy, like, if a person becomes famous, let me associate with the new people. I don't think Yia was like that.
He didn't change. He was the same. He wanted to do more, even more for the community afterward. Yeah, he changed in that sense. He was getting more involved.
He had started making some movies and he was selling them at the New Year. Every single year, when I passed by his booth, even though I try to hide my face because I don't want to bother him because he's such a busy guy, nope, he stopped what he's doing, come over, give me a hug. Friendship was always bigger than the fame or, you know, everything else that he got from fighting.
You know, the way that we interacted and what we did was kind of removed from him being famous. And he really enjoyed that, right? I mean, because we saw each other kind of less and less over the years, but we still were very tight every time we got together. I'm sure many people have the similar stories of like, hey, I'll be there at 1 o'clock, and then, you know, 3 o'clock, he's not there.
I mean, there's always a joke about Hmong time. There were some times where we had some important meetings, and he's like, oh, I'm at Shaw and Barstow. Yeah, Shaw and Barstow were on parallel. Oh, I'm at Shaw and Villa. Yeah, you're still at home, aren't you? I'm leaving right now. You'd be like, oh, he was terrible with time. He had the gift of gab. He could talk to anybody, and he'd get in conversations with people, you know, and you haven't moved, and you were supposed to leave an hour ago.
Hopefully that one day you will get close to him and work with him or train with him.
When he fights, he's always seeking new challenge. You know, it's whether he wins or loses, it's more of a evolution of his way of thinking and fighting and being in the ring.
Cứ cho ít thương nhận sai là có thể thông bồi đó giờ. Bây giờ thì chúng lo mà cứ xin chồng như này giờ, cứ xin chồng thì tiền就只能是打鼓了，giờ thì cứ thấy cũng nhận sai nữa. Nên chỉ là鼓đi mà giờ thì thằng chồng cứ thấy sao cũng qua khéo rồi nên chỉ là.
Lại cứ thấy mà cứ lấy thằng cứ yang ý muốn chỉ khi lừa, thế thì lại cứ này cứ chế được ha. Thế giờ vì
You know, I've always believed that Yia wanted a baby brother, but since I was the last one. My brother made me his brother. Our whole childhood growing up was in Merced. I remember I was in 3rd grade. So Yia was in 6th grade. It was a hot summer. So Yia was like, let's go swimming. Yia was hitting backflips, and I'm saying, like, teach me how to do backflip, Yia. You know, please teach me. So Yia taught me, and I did my first backflip. And I got up, and I was like, I did it. And so Yia was like, you're bleeding. I was like, what? And I remember I went like this. I was dripping blood. And Yia was so scared, but Yia was there for me. Like, he comforted me. I cried. But Yia was always the ringleader. But he was the one that always tells us to do things. I remember my brother wanted us to have a slumber party. So my dad was like, where are you guys sleeping with? Bitch, we knew we were gonna get in trouble. So yeah, we lied, so we're gonna go sleep out in the backyard. But the Chondu, my dad came out, didn't see us outside. We ended up sleeping on the roof. I was so scared, so Kutsi got mad at us. And when Yia said that, Yia got whooped, I got whooped. Like Yia showed us, just be kids. Whatever he said, I never said no to him. I was just his little sidekick.
Nếu chỉ mua younger, nếu chỉ mua brother, cú lo cái tụi lo của chỉ mua tí lo, trong này nếu lo của tụi tí lo, cái trong này cú ở từng cứ nè.
You know, I grew up with no brothers and sisters, so really, you know, growing up with Yia, he was kind of like my brother, and you're my sister, and you know, your parents were kind of my surrogate parents.
I want to give you a CD thing.
I bought him a car! Put my money in here. What's inside? Are there drugs inside? I think he was as crazy as I was. That's probably, you know, why we became such good friends. And I think that what drove Yia was kind of a fear of maybe missing out in life. You know, so all throughout his life, I saw him taking that risk that a lot of other people wouldn't, you know. Like, hey, I've got this cool idea, let's go do it. And like, oh yeah, sure, let's do it.
See, I think my teeth is yellow, okay?
At the time I was stationed in Florida, and I was moving back to California, and I had to take my wife's car. I called up Yia to see if he wanted to do a road trip with me, because it had been a while. And so I actually had a pair of night vision goggles that I had bought, and Yia was like all about it. But I remember, like, we're taking turns driving, you know. We're out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's just nothing around. And he had every single light on the car turned off. And I wake up and I'm like, why is it so dark? And I look over and all I see is like the little light by his face as he's driving with the night vision goggles. I'm like, man, what are you doing? He said, well, I can see just fine. Oh man, we're gonna get pulled over. Like, that's not good, man.
I grew up being like a pastor's son and stuff, and like fighting was like really like, no, we don't want it and stuff.
During when you went to church was Yatlangsu, and they made my brother burn his outfit, his Kempo outfit. It was the saddest thing, I remember. He didn't want to do it. So my brother burned his clothes, so he did not fight for a long time.
I feel like, you know, education is the key, and I gotta strive for my education too.
He's a senior in college studying electronic business. Eventually, he'd like to get into law school.
He got into graphic design, got into life insurance, got into selling houses. He tried to even do video productions, like doing movies and stuff. My brother tried everything. He picked up playing drums. Brother played guitar. He played piano. He didn't sing. Was horrible at singing. He always thought he was a rapper. And he was like, why don't we make a rap group? Like, what? They're like, make a rap group. I'm like, what? We're in back of my dad's truck, and I just remember, we gotta come up with a name. Yia was so quick like this too. He goes, 3 to play. I'm like, what? There's 3 of us and we love to play, so call 3 to play. And they're like, you're a crazy kid. It's like, okay, you know, like you're crazy Capria. And this rap name, YMG Yia Mua Gangster. That's his name, YMG. Yeah.
I told Capria, I was like, hey, do you guys want to, you know, make a music video? And she was like, yeah, sure. I was thinking we were going to plan this thing, but she was just straight up like, we are barbecuing, we've got a community picnic going on. I don't even think I gave him a whole lot of direction. Okay, run over there. I want you to do this. So Capria, like, naturally was the director.
I told my brother, I cannot rap. I was a horrible rapper. My brother was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go drunk. I'm gonna go perform drunk. You know, this is me, accept me. He was comfortable in his skin. He was comfortable being him. He knew he could freaking rap. Hmong Love. You remember that song? You gave us the music.
Hmong Love, holla back, show that love. Are you home? Yes, I'm home.
If you listen to his lyrics, That explains everything. Why Yia likes to fight. This song was made of Yia's idea. That's the feel of why he wants to be in the ring. When you're on that stage, Yia, me, and Latrell, we were different. We were someone else. How he feels when he's in the ring for that 15 minutes, wow. You know, that feeling was amazing.
You want to go to the entertainment business, you want to go into stuff, you can do it. You cannot wait for people to give you stuff, man. You got to write, you got to create things. And that is the passion that I felt connected with Yia. We were risk takers, we were troublemakers. We want to cause trouble, we want to cause wave, that people talk about us.
It made sense that Yia recognized the same blueprint. There were martial artists who moved into entertainment, who did action films.
Yeah, tu mong pe hen ne. We never label Yia that way. Yia never labeled himself that way, but it was the Hmong community.
When I first met him, I was starstruck, and the older one chỉ sao yêu thông như là, chỉ cũng trong thả chỉ trong cái nhà thả hay the, itu neng when chỉ shiny itu neng shishia na ya. He was very humble.
Because he was comfortable with being himself. Like I said, it made it easy for me to be myself too. And then come to find out we're both just naturally like kids at heart. He was definitely a jokester. There's never a dry or dull moment with him.
Whenever he needs extras, he always calls me. You know, we're gonna have a scene at the club, so come through. You know, okay, come through. You know, sometimes like we're having such a good time and you kind of forget it's a movie. You know, so he's running through chasing this guy, and you want to go say, hey, yeah. Oh wait, I can't do that. You know.
We were in this trailer when we were shooting, and me and him we were eating some papaya, and he was like talking to me in his character, and it was like really funny. I was like, okay, is that the real you or is that the villain in this movie? And he was like, no, I'm trying to talk to you as a friend, as in a villain tone.
Tại sao cái bỏ mông cho mình nó lái những cái bao giờ là acting thế à? Tại sao dễ quá nó? You can feel like nó khử cái tiền you know.
I know he loved Aidua. It showed him. It took him out of his comfort zone. He was allowed to say it's okay, to be bad, because it wasn't okay for him for a long time, because people can't wait to talk about it.
The acting process is a live and organic process. So you guys are constantly feeding off of each other's energies. Sometimes they replace in my head over and over, I don't know why, but it's the ending scene where Bai Ying finally works up the courage to confront Fong, her oppressor, in a sense, in the story. And she stabs him in the back with a knife. And every single time that we shot that scene, when Yia turned around, or Yia's character Fong turned around to look at me, to him, as twisted as his character was, he truly did believe that Bai Ying was the love of his life. And she was his purpose too in his life. And so for him, that was the ultimate act of betrayal. And to feel betrayed for something that you fought so hard to keep or to make work, I could see that pain coming through in his eyes too, whatever that may have been for him. But I think both of us, being the humans and the actors that we both pulled from someplace really deep. And like I said, every time we shot that scene, it was being relived. The hurt, in the face that wasn't always for the camera.
Ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. To express oneself honestly, not lying to oneself. That, my friend, is very hard to do, and you have to train. You have to keep your reflexes so that when you want it, it's there. When you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you are determined to move. Not anything less than that.
I could see in Yia's face, even though he didn't say it, sometimes he would put on a mask. The business he was in is not an 8-to-5 business. It's a 24/7 business.
You know, and I think to be able to juggle that successfully, it takes a supportive family. It takes a supportive significant other that realizes what his commitments are.
Our work reflects our experience of life. It's kind of like when you're chasing your craft, you're chasing your demons. The whole essence of just creating and finding things, like you're wandering into unknown territory, like the black hole, right? And then you have to weigh that against your family.
The best fight I remember of Yia's fight was not the one that he won, but the one that he lost. It wasn't the fact that I remember him losing, but I remember the people that went to cheer him on. He was disappointed that the people left. He was more hurt about that than him losing.
In Chinese, they would call that like wine and meat friends. You're doing well, I share wine and meat with you. That's wrong. The people you want to support you when you lose, that's important too. We were still there for him.
We definitely had some times where we had losses. He actually tore a quadricep muscle in the middle of a fight. And he was so relentless that the other guys wouldn't answer the bell. He just wasn't backing down from anything. He's going into and through his opponent, regardless of any injury to himself. For me, as his friend, I would get frustrated with him.
In the ring, he was a beast. But outside, he was humble. For him to be a leader in that community, you have to be very careful. It's a reputation. If you do one wrong thing, everybody associate with you.
I know that some of the pitfalls that he had, some of the setbacks he had, at least financially, were because he would step out and do things for other people. And he would get himself overextended. And then when a few things don't work out, you get behind.
He probably needed a manager, a strong manager. He is just so nice, he'll let people take advantage of him. I think his personality, he just couldn't say no.
If you're not going to do something, just tell me you can't do it. You know, he would say, oh yes, yeah, sure, we'll do this, or I'll do that. And then he would never do it, or it'd get so delayed that I'd just say, you know, screw this. I kind of lost trust, you know, and that he would do what he said he would do. And it's like, all right, man, if your life is too busy, I mean, if everybody seems to want a piece of you, then I'm sure that leads to trust issues.
People depend a lot on my brother. That she, but sang you have to pay, you should band those.
Couple bucks. Can you help me out on what, huh?
You know, people thought he was making money. You know, the promoters was making more money. Did he get any revenues? No. And if he did, it was a little chump change.
Tôi có tiền nữa chỉ tao mua sponsor này. Là mua chỉ bùa chỉ này tao chỉ bùa xí là mua phá chỉ này tao ít phá xí. Giá tiền tao vô khán chỉ cho tao lúc khán có sao.
When he started doing movies and stuff like that, climbing up.
Mà từ lúc ta la chỉ nhiều mua nhà tới cá sấu. Chỉ nhiều mua nhà tới cá sấu tới movie tới nào là những tao nhà là chỉ phải. Bé những chỉ tao nhà là.
At the age of 28, Mua will compete in a kickboxing tournament.
I ain't considered like an old man in the sports.
Most of his competitors will be 18, 10 years younger than Mua.
When all of that, in a sense, comes to an end, where you stop competing, you ask yourself, well, what's next? Like, what is the motivation to get up tomorrow to go work hard? Some people go through a major one, some people go through a minor one. Sometimes it's years, sometimes it's a day of depression.
For me, he wasn't happy. And I knew that. We love what we do. We focus so much on our work that sometimes we neglect our own kids. We don't neglect our own family because we want it so bad.
You know, there was times where we talked about possibly me and him moving in together. Just for a period of being able for him to clear his mind. He'd always talk about, you know, you have to make sure that your significant other is with you, on board with everything you're doing, because he also said the #1 killer of dreams can be your significant other.
I don't know that he wanted to settle down, though. I don't think that's who he was. You know, I think that maybe he didn't feel as fulfilled in his life if he were to try to settle down. Like, he wanted to keep doing bigger and better things. I can understand why he may have troubles with his wife, because he was a bit of a player.
Majority of it is when my brother was single, he was single. Okay, girls gonna flock over my brother. We all saw that. My mom, my dad, we all see it. Girls will flock, young, old, you name it. Guys too. I know, and I would tell my brother he was wrong too. When he just keeps taking off because he was so tired hearing them doing this, I always tell him, face it. I saw all of that. People didn't know this. The only one that knew was only my family and his son. He would bring girls for me to see. He was just like, hey, what do you think about her? Like, he'll pull me to the side, and I observe. So I used to always just open up freely, because that's my brother. I'd be like, what are you doing with this girl? I didn't trust people. You know, I was married. I kept to myself. I was very shy. I was very blunt. I had no filter.
Giờ mà giờ ít hơn này người ta bảo từ chuyện này lúc tuần ta ra, giờ này chỉ cho hạt tiềnอยู่ที่แต่ถ้าอยู่là chỉ dùng là người ta cũng tới bảo người cũng lúc người chỉ cũng lúc người cũngอยู่xứ này vậy, giờ này chỉ bảo người lúc xưa à.
He let other people's priorities, in their lives for what they wanted from him to become his priority. He would admit to me that that's not really what was going to be the best for him. I said, hey man, I think that you should figure out what's good for you and focus on that. And you're going to disappoint a lot of people because you won't be the public Yia The Bull Mua that everybody wants. But I don't know that that's the best thing for you.
I didn't know he was going through a hard time. That's not my fault.
He has never thought of himself as a failure. But I think at the same time, he never wanted people to think that he was a failure. Some of those times of struggle, he'd have to borrow some money to pay rent. There was times where he needed help also. And he told me, nobody's there. I'm no longer Yia The Bull, the world champion. I'm no longer the celebrity. Where's everybody at? He would always talk about some of the people in his community, the mindset that they have was just always so negative that they wanted him to not make it. They wanted to feel good about being the person that said, I told you so. It's like, I'm here trying to help so many people, but yet at the same time when I turn around, I got so many people that are hoping that I don't make it.
20 people in a day, they say the same thing, eventually it'll get to you. He would try to do, have a normal life, go to work and do certain things, but he wasn't fighting. Like he wanted to retire. He knew he was getting older. There was so much high expectation of my brother.
He needed his own time to rebuild himself. Sometimes when you're in that funk for so long, that becomes nature, that becomes who you are, and you don't know how to get out of it. You become comfortable with being miserable. And there was a moment where that was starting to take place.
I didn't know. It took the whole family to go talk to him. He tried to commit suicide. That was the darkest time. You're not a man, you can't do this. My dad criticized like that. We were right there just, the way we were raised, Lou, my dad was tough. My dad was tough love. That's the first time I've heard my dad gone on my brother, but it was good getting on my brother.
When he was fighting, he was strong. He was doing all these things for everybody, to make everybody feel confident, to make everybody be strong with him. But then when he hit rock bottom, nobody knew about it. Maybe it goes back to Yia being the only son, not having a brother, not having, a lot of cousins who are close. What Yia always says when he meets somebody is, when I make a friend, I make a friend for life, I remember when the lease was up on that apartment and he had went to Thailand to go shoot a movie. And he had asked all his friends who can help clean up the apartment. Me and two of my other friends were the only ones that went there to help clean the apartment for him. And he told me, you're the only one I can ever count on, And when I left, I personally called like 20 people to come help me clean the apartment and stuff like that. And you and your other two friends were the only ones that came. He may not ask everyone for help, but he will ask for help. That was his darkest hour. The best thing I can say that came out of it is he went back into fighting.
I remember Yia said, in order to be a great fighter, you will have to lose. And you have to redeem yourself. When he got knocked down, He had to get back up. Yia was like, this can't be. Nobody knocks me down. All my fans, all my mom, my family, they're here. I have to win.
You can't get to winning in the ring all by yourself. You sort of have shared suffering when you're getting ready for a fight. So yes, the fighter is sort of suffering as he's growing, right? He's breaking himself down, the coaches are breaking him down and building him back up. But it's sort of happening to everyone at the same time. And so you develop a really, really close bond when you punch someone in the face and they punch you back in the face, and then afterwards you go out and have a beer together. Brothers are sort of like that. I have two little boys, and what do? They're 1 minute they're fighting each other, the next minute they're high-fiving and hugging each other. I would get more nervous and anxious being on the side of the ring than if I would have been in the ring myself. It's hard watching someone that you went through all that struggle with. It's hard if you watch them get punched in the face. It feels good when you watch them punch someone else in the face.
Knock his ass out, come on!
My mom, we found out she had kidney failure. They gave my mom 3 months to live. So in a few months, my dad left my mom. My dad mo yo na yo da thai te. Kati chon so to you na, to you zi. Pay ha jong but my mom didn't want to give up. They said the waiting process is long. She knocked on that door every day until they gave her a kidney transplant.
Cô ta tao họ tao trâu cái lò, tao mới xong về chơi họ mò này.
It really started back in July of 2009. We had went to a UFC party.
Lúc bé tôi muốn tao rồi với Christian J nè, so but okay, giờ mà tôi là giờ muốn chỉ bé giờ muốn bé sai fight bé chống trợ.
We had one drink. He's like, well, my ulcer's acting up again. Well, it wasn't his ulcer, it was the cancer was pushing his renal artery up into his stomach. And so the blood was pouring into his stomach.
That's when we found out that my brother was diagnosed with liver cancer.
The first thing he said was, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to fight it. Everybody in the room was in such awe that, he still had this positivity, this fight left in him.
We were mourning. Even though Yia didn't pass away yet, we mourned for Yia. Like, we pictured Yia now, but I never wanted to talk about it to my brother. You want to do Shahin?
Bây giờ không sao thì coi như ship bán này, bây giờ ship bán thầu chúng mới cho xin nhau nè, chỉ sao tàu thầu, để tiếp ta cho xe lại để mà đi là một thầu cái tiếng chặt phá vậy thành đấy được linh thầu.
Yeah. So hiện tại thì mua cho phong như chú trọng thiên lúc lúa gì thiên, họ mua lúc sau là họ phải bên đó gì thiên.
Hepatitis yin law is especially for Pekia generation a young refugee camp. It spreads so easily in the refugee camp, and they don't even know that they have it. Thầu là bảo chế to affect your major organs, you know.
All of a sudden, man, just got really sick. I didn't even think about it. I was like, I get sick, I'll recover.
Yeah.
And then man, dude, I just keep on getting sicker and sicker.
You will cover. You don't get covered.
My mom was every day right by Yia's side, every day.
Nếu cho cũng một cháu cho magazine one nó cho feminine people, and the market sen từ từ tuổi thế này, từ giờ nữ cho trai chả cũng luôn luôn nữ cũng dân cho của con này, chỉ này thế là muốn cho nên thế là kia đó cũng.
I think when he first started, he handled it very well, but at the end, when I go see my brother, knocking on the front door, he wouldn't open. I have to go around the back gate. because he'll leave the door unlocked and he'll be just laying in his room or he'll be on the computer. That's it. Like, hey, yeah, what are you doing? You know.
John Jong lo lui cho lùi thì là nó muốn nhiều muốn chơi muốn travel the world. Muốn nhỏ nó đâu muốn travel muốn sáng được thế. He said, I'm looking forward to it, towards travel. But he said it in a tone where
we had been researching and trying to find like, oh, I heard there's this cancer treatment place in Mexico that, you know, this, that, and the other. And he's like, yeah, if I'm not going to make it, I just want to be around my family. I have to only fight this one battle, and I want to see my son because I don't know if I'll make it.
When he realized that it was going to be his end, it didn't matter what anybody said. He wanted more than anything to have that picture-perfect family, even though it still wasn't an ideal family.
Eventually, when he found out that it was terminal, it was bad, he said the doctor gave him 6 months, and they were exactly right on.
Chị biết là một số đã chị yêu cha nên chị tàu nên là chị cũng chưa được nên chị có tiếng lo nên đó bộ nó lo nên mũi lúc khó trong đây lúc khó trong kia rồi lúc kia mà nên muốn nuôi cha nên cũng muốn nhau ra là biết tiền bài.
During that week, it was over 3,000 people, in and out, in and out.
His room was right next to a waiting room, and so many people came to visit him.
2 of his friends, they were pastors, and they both stood by Yia and read the Bible the whole time. Yia's wish was, I don't want the old tradition, I want church way. But Hmong people came in and like and things like that. So many people loved my brother that nobody wanted him to go. Everybody started fighting to save his life. They couldn't believe Yia's leaving, Yia's dying. My dad didn't even come and see my brother because he was still in Thailand. He was waiting for my dad. You want me to yell at dad? Because I will. And my brother was like, no. He wasn't even mad at my dad. So many people were mad at my dad because he wasn't here. My mom, however, was there.
Cô đi xa thì cô tao trở lại cô sống lại cô ta cả lời bé luôn đang chơi mỗi cái lúc xe trong nữa anh hay cô tiền nhá lúc xe vậy lì chỉ tao anh chơi bảo chỉ tao nhá cô tôi xe thôi đâu nên đâu chắc có chỉ chơi cô tôi vấn đề cô sao bỏ con nó luôn đang ở nhà thôi là
The night before he went to his coma, we're at the hospital and it's 12 o'clock. I was like, yeah, are you okay? Yeah. And it scared me. My brother was pretending he was dying, okay? My brother was still a jokester. And I think he wanted to see how it feels to die. I remember my brother just looked, he goes, you okay? I remember my brother said that. And I said, why would you say that? You know, I was like, boy, you traveled everywhere, yeah. You drank, you traveled, you have fun, you make friends. You know, people, you're such an inspiration. But he was like, no, I did my life backwards. It was something more. My mom's waking up, yeah. You ain't getting up. So my mom goes, go get the nurse right now. I don't know what's going on. My brother's not waking up. So everybody's bringing this whole big old cart and they're pushing it down the hallway. And I ran back over there. All I just saw my mom was stopping my brother. Get up, yeah, hitting my brother on the chest. And then all of a sudden my brother got up. And he looked at my mom. He was like, oh my God. And my brother had a stroke. They were pulling my mom out because my mom was so distraught going out. She would tear down the hospital if she had to, and my mom pulled, and even the nurses didn't even want to see my brother go. If my mom didn't do that, we wouldn't have our last words with my brother. He called so many people's names. When he came to me, he was like, what you crying for? So I'm not crying. I wiped down my tears. He goes, don't cry. I was like, I'm not crying, I'm not crying. He goes, bunny ears. He was like, you look like Avatar. And I was wearing this blue shirt. And we all cracked up. We all just laughed when we were crying. He looked at me, he goes, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. To hear that was just so priceless. A lot of friends came and shared their stories of what Yia did, but he wasn't afraid to die. He told me, accept it. He said, I accept that I'm going. I hope you could see this. You've always wanted friends and you always wanted people to be around you. Well, you did it. And you wanted to know that you make an impact. Well, that day, and you can tell how much of an impact my brother made in people's life. He made so much.
Cô tuốt trở nên sạch tê đó, chị nữ hài của tia, mà các tổ của sạch tê sao trò của sạch tê đó, mấy lúc bạn đây mà nữ to thì để cơ nè, các tổ của sạch tê còn thâu lúc bạn đây rồi nè, chị thôi cô tổ nên sạch tê nó nữ job của chị thì nữ sao sẽ tu nó. Chị cũng bảo để thằng nó cho một sai để cho nữ tư một thâu này.
Những con nằm này cho có nhiều train gọi là cái yam chế chứ. Có bỏ trên trường bài thế nào. Nhiều ya kia nhiều ý lử là all lử đó. Cho nên tất cả luật trả kia thôi là cái nhiệt tệ, thật tệ.
And we were all shocked, like just talking about it. I have goosebumps all over. And
that was a very emotional moment. Like it changed everybody's mood, being more cheerful.
it was ilalu from Yia, like a way of saying goodbye.
He passed away January 15, 2010. Two years after that, my dad died. He died at 63. But don't thought you don't know kaka isha yo pesna. Poshan si chito la kala. Uya kutsi tunsai poshan si tao na. Uchi kia to the tuna. For what I would do right now to just have a drink with my brother and my dad, I would. You follow your passion, you did well, Yia. I said, you are very fortunate. The world loves you. He asked me, was I happy? You know, I'm happy, Yia. He goes, you are? I said, yes. I said, you are more of a father to me than a brother because you taught me how to drive. You taught me how to ride my bike. You taught me how to swim. You taught me how to fly. I didn't even know what fly was, and it was ditching. You taught me to be strong. You taught me to stand up for myself. You and I performed together. My best memories when we were 3 to play. I put my family and me into grievance counseling, and the people were really sweet. My mom couldn't do it. She couldn't handle it. She went one day. I just continued going through it, like just the whole 8 weeks. I think I isolated myself. My mom isolated herself too, and you know, from the world, we disappeared.
We fight time all the time. The fact that he didn't have enough time He didn't realize you've done more than most people ever done in their life in the short time span, dude.
He took risks and he pursued, his dreams, and he gave it his all. And you know what? I think that's a successful life. I know he had a lot of other friends, but to me, he was like my best friend. So.
Như vậy tôi tin rằng train cũng for everything cũng nè nè. Thì nếu tôi đã cũng bỏ kế tại nó thì vừa ở đây trả vừa thế thì một đôi cái xe rồi.
Cô sa cú trốn tới nó chơi có mua lại nên lú cú vậy lú gì thế.
Every time we shine him look like I feel happy. I feel like he's alive. He's with me all the time. The dog will not Talina.
When we start this program, because it's kind of a joint venture between me and Matt, I said, like, what are some names that we can name it, and I thought about it and I said, well, what about Bullpen?
I promised my brother on his dying bed that I will continue his legacy. And I kept telling myself, I'm gonna do it afraid. I'm gonna do it no matter what. I need to push it out there.
I didn't really get a chance to know Yia, and I missed out on the opportunity to make a film with him. To champion the messages in this documentary, I understand for myself, I have to live it. This is my opportunity to make that film with him,
I'm here with G.
What's up?
The producer. And we're here just trying to finish up with the documentary.
Now, this is a rough draft, so just a little teaser, okay?
Hi, we're at St. Peter's Cemetery, and this is where my brothers lay to rest, including my father, Bua. So,
这首背影我一直拍影红，就是 yeah, he's a real one, and I know he influenced a lot of other Hmong champion too.
A legacy still today, and to have it be put into something concrete that we can keep and something for us to visualize for the Hmong people to realize that, hey, we had heroes and they are still important and they are still relevant.
It definitely made like an impact on like how I see Hmong people, because like he was one of the first figures in the Hmong community that was actually like really out there, and it was so nice to see. It was so inspirational.
A great role model for us, and we love you so much, and we miss you so much, and as we dream, you live in our dream.
When he did start doing movies, I know his last movie he did was Daidua.
Yeah.
I actually bought that movie too.
Oh my goodness. He played very well.
He played really well. I thought he played, no
The
offense,
crazy.
but I think he played better than the main character.
I met so many fascinating people that I didn't know my brother makes such an impact with their life. Since September, I've been working on this, and I'm so proud. And as you can see, I didn't get no sleep. I was so excited about this. So, say how proud you are.
I am proud. I am proud of my brother.
2 proud sisters, okay? 2 proud sisters. I love you, Yia. We did it. You did it. You did it. We're gonna keep your legacy going, okay, Yia?
Don't try to be the best, but try to be the first. Có mỗi họ patient, you want to be the first to break through that door.
Yeah.
So bắt chữ là một shit từสิ่งมาตัวนั้นนะแล้วถึงสักเก่าจะอึกแค่ตัวแล้วถึงสามมือเจ้าหมูเนี่ยอย่าชี้แค่ดูอย่ารู้ชื่อเขาอย่าชี้แค่ดูอย่าจะเกิดเจ้านะ
Whether it's people who are still trying to find the courage to go after their dreams, or whether it's people who are going after their dreams and experiencing obstacles and hardships, that fighting spirit that Ye carried with him, I think it rings with a lot of people. A fighter, a survivor, bold and fearless, unapologetic for their dreams.
When I think about trailblazers, Yia The Bull Mua was the person that represented this the best.
He has that X factor that pushes him beyond to achieve what other people can't achieve. And that's literally what grit is. You're changing the current by like your dedication to something. It's seeing the people who have that, and seeing them chase their dreams and give everything to follow their dreams, and then seeing them like achieve their dreams. That's the most beautiful thing. To inspire people is inspire them through the courage of your actions, against all the doubt, against all the discouragement, against all the hate. You're still willing to do it.
If we look at being on top of the world or champion, it's for a small bit of time. Feel passionate, feel strong, about what you want to do and let that guide you.
You know, in the Hmong culture, right? La he te to kasia je to be home beer la be ho alcohol je ka ho da le bia. That she ya be je xie na je be ho meng su. But because I feel like Yia The Bull Mua is a legend, and his legacy, even though he passed, lives through me, he's still alive. So, if anything, tribute to Yia The Bull Mua and Uncle Ming Nunu, because he's always alive.
Cú bao hạt đẹp, thầu cú mua nửa hộp lá, nửa mua mèo cổ lý trả, thầu cú tàu nửa cú bao thì nhảy từ special trong lý trả, thầu nửa tua cú bao thì nhảy từ special trong lý trả, cho nó cho ôn là chỉnh tàu cú lúc xét tam đo, để cho nó cho ôn là ôn đâu cú này nó chữ tàu cú tụt kinh rồi nè, cú yên đâu xét cú yên hạt đẹp ôn cho.
Yia's legacy is to love, and love unconditionally. Yeah.
Nhà nó để tết tàu cơ, ý lần phụ ý lần nói ý lần này, cà phê thì lì tàu blessing lên đó.
He dressed himself.
He dressed himself. You can tell that.
You guys never let up about the balls.
No,
Right?
sure didn't. And it's not only just one ball, because there was another picture. Mo ya lung ball ha mo. Come in your car. And your apartment, yeah, and you're in a pulum ball. 2 pictures of us with balls, man. No, I could tell my brother did not wear no underwear. I should put this on Facebook and say.
Save it for the movie and make it rated R.
Get on the grass, they thought of Jesus. Che chỉ một chán tôi đủ cụ chế định thó có bao lúc. Bắt chú được thô tây đá con giá tôi tiền là nhỏ đặc cố. Tôi tiền là nhỏ đặc cố thó có bao lúc. Cụ lưu số lần số tụ tờ chi yên chi hơi yên chủ mù. Cụ lưu số lần số tụ tờ che chỉ một chán tôi. Cụ chua mê tu nên lưu nên tôi lên mê tu. Tu xế cụ chỉ một xế lần là lo mù.